Hello, everyone, and welcome to Debate Night. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Brodie and Silas. We got Brodie in studio.
I'm never leaving.
Again this week. He's by the time you're listening to this, he's gone. He's peaced out. We got quite a bit to talk about. You actually tweeted some stuff.
Yeah, I think we're going to start. I'm going to try to keep doing that just to have people blasting and just in case. Normally we're on top of it with all the hot topics that are happening, but just in case we're missing something.
We're definitely going to touch on the big money skins. We're definitely going to touch on Battle for Bedford happened last week. You got the Halloween Classic, that big C tier going on next week.
That's the big one. Kelsey did tell me, which I thought was a cool little fun fact, was I start my season at Las Vegas Challenge. I end my season at the Las Vegas Halloween Classic. Me and Trevor will be going out there this week. There'll be, I think, a couple videos from that. So definitely stay subscribed to the Foundation Disc Golf YouTube channel. We'll do a little course preview, and that'll be fun. It's always a good time out there. The course is at Sunset Park. You never really know what to expect when you get out there, so it's always a fun tournament. And the weather is also chaotic this time, so you could.
What is weather looking like right now? Have you looked?
It looks pretty solid, but I mean, there's no telling.
Like windy,
it could be. It could just all of a sudden just be like tomorrow's gonna be 40-mile-per-hour winds.
Heck yeah.
So they had to cancel. Kelsey was thinking about going to a concert out there this past weekend, and she told me that they had to cancel the first day because it was so windy that like a dust storm came up and you just couldn't see anything. So the weather this time of year out there is really, really. Is it
gonna be like cold, hot? What are you doing?
It'll be cold in the morning, and because it is such a large tournament, there will be people. I believe one person in our group has like a 7:00 tee time.
Oh, well, so, like Brodie's cold, so.
Yeah. You know. Well, by the time I'm playing,
like
I'll be
50
fine.
50 degrees cold in the morning, or are we talking like 30?
I think it might be colder than 50. I'll look it up. I'll look it up real quick.
This past weekend, we had the Battle for Bedford that went down here in the Bedford, Virginia area. I was the assistant TD for that, and it went great as far as like the tournament directing goes. Don't really think we had too many big calls. The only calls I really had, I had
48.
48. Okay, it's chilly.
It's not bad. That's not bad.
That's still, you wear a t-shirt.
That's doable.
I had 3 calls that I had to make total. One, someone just came up and they landed in water that wasn't in the caddy book. It was casual water. Simple. Second one, someone asked when the OB ends, what happens when the painted line of the OB ends and it just continues indefinitely in that direction. Mm-hmm. What was confusing, though, is they didn't actually look at the painted line. So like the painted line was going stake to stake at this course, and the stakes curl off and go down this hill. And so like the OB line continues there.
Okay.
And this guy was past those stakes here, so he was still safe and bounds. His group was like, oh, the OB just straight up the left side. You're out of bounds.
They missed that the OB
Yeah,
kept
they missed
going.
the curve. So they called him OB. I heard about this like an hour after his round. They called him OB. His buddy's group, his buddy landed in the same spot. He played it safe because he was safe.
And so the guy
came to me and like asked me, and I told him like, oh no, like if it curls down, then you were technically safe. Like you should have, like it's too late now. But
you can't change that,
safe.
right?
No. And he goes, oh, I'll go change my score. I was like, you can't. You didn't play a provisional. I was like, technically, like you could get stroked, but he wasn't in contention. I wasn't going to go into like the
you could get
scoring, being wrong.
It was a misplay.
It was a misplay. So you could have got 2-stroke penalty addition to that.
But the card as a whole
doesn't matter.
Really?
It was a misplay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't fully tell me the whole story. He was just asking me like, this is the scenario, and I was like, you're not going to keep talking. This is what like should have happened. And he was like, oh, so can I change my score? I'm like, no, you didn't play a provisional. You're not asking me to rule on a provisional. You're just asking me about the scenario. This is what should have happened. And then he like was about to keep talking. I just like nipped it in the bud. She's like, the more you tell me, the more I'm going to have to do. So it's going to be best if you just like, for your own sake, just leave it at this point because, again, this wasn't the leader of the division. We'll put it that way. So it wasn't that big of a deal when it was all said and done. And then the final one, this was a tough rules call because I felt bad. It was hole 1 at Falling Creek.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's a tree at hole 1 on the right side. Mm-hmm. They were playing to the red baskets. One of the guys threw a backhand turnover straight into the tree. This is at Tournament Central, so there's a solid, people are warming up, we're vending there, I'm there. There's a solid 10 to 15 people who watch it go into this tree. Definitely went in the tree, definitely did not come out the backside. So they go off, he throws into the tree. His card walks up to the tree and starts looking. I start checking more people in because this was a little bit of an earlier tee time. So I'm checking people in for the later tee times. And then we were teeing off every 12 minutes. So at like 5 minutes before, I had like a brief players meeting on the first tee, go over the rules for the course, and then I set the tee time off. So I'm not paying attention, checking. So now it's time for the next players meeting on the first tee. Mm-hmm. So I stand up and I call the next tee time. I turn around. They're still under this tree. So if you're good at math, it's been 7 minutes.
Gosh.
So I turn around, I'm like, what's going on?
That's a stroke, right?
Well, not yet.
Oh.
And so I turn around, I'm like, what is going on? So I'm thinking they see the disc and like they're trying to get it down.
Okay.
So I yelled down there, I'm like, hey guys, leave the disc. We'll get it to you. And then the guy starts walking back to me. And I'm like, that's weird. So I like turn around, like I'm going to start talking to this group because I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. And he comes, he's like, well, Hunter, we need a ruling then if I need to leave the disc. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we can't find it. I was like, well, your 3 minutes is well up.
Yeah.
He's like, but it's in the tree. So it's not a lost disc. I was like, well, do you see the disc? He's like, no. I was like, then I think it's a lost disc. But he's like, but everyone knows it went in the tree. And I'm like, you're right. Everyone does know it went in the tree. But like, it's like if everyone knows the disc went into a pile of leaves.
Right.
Yeah. If you can't find the disc, you can't find the disc. It's not like it goes into a lake and the lake's OB and it's like, okay, we know it's OB. We know where it crossed.
It's a tough one.
It just went into a tree, which wasn't OB. There wasn't a stroke penalty. So you couldn't be like, we saw it go into this lake. We know it's in the lake. We don't have to find the disc to declare it OB.
Yeah.
Because you weren't declaring it OB. You needed to find where to play your lie.
Yeah.
So he had to declare a lost disc.
That's brutal.
I went and looked.
Start the round.
So he like double or triple bogeyed hole one because of that. And then I went and looked like in between. I would send off a card. I'd have like 7 minutes while they're like putting before the next card I had to do my meeting. I went and looked like 4 or 5 times at least. Could not find it. No disc up there. And I was like, we knew exactly where it went in. We looked, I had like other cards who like got a disc stuck up in the tree and they were getting their disc down. I'm like, hey, if you happen to see another disc, it's a black disc. If you get it down, just let me know. No one found it. Goes on and on. MP50 is the last card of the day. There's like a 25-minute gap between, because they were playing a different layout. So between the end of MA3 and MP50 start, there's like a 20-some minute gap. This guy's round's done. He comes up to me and asks me, he's like, hey, did anyone find it? I was like, dude, that disc is gone. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. So the MP50 guys are like, oh, what are we talking about? I was like, oh, his disc is in that tree. He was like one of the, earlier morning tee times. Lost it in the tree and like no one's found it. I've looked for it. Everyone's looked for it. So the MP50 guys go down with them. They spend like 10 minutes of their like remaining 20 some minutes looking for it. And one of them spots it. He found it.
Wow.
It was way higher than we thought somehow. And he could barely see it. And so they spent like another 5 minutes and got it down for him.
They got it down?
Yeah, he got the disc back.
Crazy.
He got the disc back.
That tree sucks.
But that was a brutal call because like it was a lost disc simply because like he couldn't find it to know where to play from, even though we all knew where the disc was.
So here's a question. You have to see it?
Well, he had to know where to put it under, the lie under.
Because like, what if it's one of those trees that has like the like palm fronds?
What?
Have you seen those? They're like palm trees essentially, but we were talking about Vegas. Excuse me. We were talking about Vegas, and they have a lot of trees like this, and like as the palm fronds mature, they come down
and it like wedges into there.
But like
they
can they can kind of wedge in there to where like it's blocked. So you can't see it, but it's right there.
Climb up that thing, man.
You have to have like an eyeball on it.
Yeah, well,
or
to
it's
me, it's the same thing. Like, because he had to play directly below the disc.
Yeah.
What's to say his disc didn't come out of the tree and go down the fairway?
Okay, let's throw another hypothetical.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, we all know it didn't, but you have to find the disc to play from the disc.
Let's throw a hypothetical. It's on top of a roof.
You'll be able to see it. From far enough back, you could see it.
What if it's a flat roof? What if it's a roof that has like a wall?
That should be OB.
Okay.
If it's OB and you
a
see
drone within the 3 minutes.
You can't use video evidence.
You can't use. Oh, man.
All right.
But the thing is, like, if it goes onto a roof or like if that tree was like OB,
about inside of like a trash can, but it's like on top of something, so you can't look into it, but everyone saw it went into the barrel.
I don't know,
it's
man.
on top of something.
You have to get eyes on your disc to play because like there's so many questions. Because like what we started questioning was, is it actually in the tree?
Yeah.
They've been looking at it for
Yeah.
7 minutes. Like, did it come out and no one saw it come out?
Yeah.
And so then it's like, because then it would have been a misplay if he played from there and then he
That's so
walks down and
brutal.
it's like, oh, there's my disc.
That's so brutal because discs can get stuck in stuff so much easier than golf balls.
Yeah, but like it's the same thing, same exact thing of sliding under leaves.
No, I
you
get-
know where it slid
yeah.
under, but like you got to know
Yeah.
where to play
But
from.
in that scenario, you can, if you have a gallery of 50 people, eventually someone is going to find it.
Sure, but you have 3 minutes. If they
Sure.
don't find it in 3 minutes, you got to re-tee.
But like if your disc is in a barrel 20 feet up in the air,
Why is there a barrel 20 feet
I
in
don't
the
know.
air?
But I'm just saying, hypothetical, if it's a barrel 20 feet up in the air, it doesn't matter how many people you have. I mean, I guess you could like monkey climb on top of each other.
I don't know, man.
And get someone up there
I
and
don't
be
know.
like, it's in the barrel.
I think I made the right call. I think
yeah, I think you
it's
did.
a call
It's
that made the
brutal.
most sense.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Because he
And
was asking me, I was like, well, but where would you mark under? Like, where would you play from? And he was like, the tree. I'm like, but the tree's massive. So like, what part are
Yeah,
you
it'd be
playing
tough to
under?
say.
Because like, we don't know. We
Exactly
don't know
where
where
it's
you
at.
were.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on.
just
Yeah.
broke
That's
his
a brutal
heart,
rule.
man.
It's
That's a brutal rule.
That was the only rule that I like had to make a rules call on. That I was like, I feel like I'm making the right call, but it wouldn't surprise me if someone's like, no, Hunter, you idiot. This is what the call should have been.
On hole 1 too.
It's on hole. What is how he started his round?
Man.
I mean, here's the thing. That tree is not in play.
No,
All right, I don't want to be
Well,
that
you
guy.
throw the big
I don't want to be that guy. That
he was
tree.
trying to throw
But
a
it's
backhand turnover.
it's MA3, you know.
I know, but I'm just saying that tree's not in play. So
Well,
it's like,
MA3.
He was trying to throw a backhand turnover and just grip locked it. I mean, there were
first hole
several
jitters.
people. There were
First hole
several
jitters.
people. I mean,
me and Trevor were out there last year, and there was a solid like a third of the players in MA3 would throw into that tree.
he was also 40-mile-an-hour winds during that tournament.
Okay.
Like that's a drastic difference. There was no wind out there yet during this weekend.
all right, let's not put this guy on blast.
No.
He had to take a double bogey on the first
He
hole.
played
That's brutal.
solid the rest of the tournament after that.
That's
he did
good.
say there were 7 or 8 times that he was like, I really wish I had that black disc. I lost on the first hole here.
That hurts.
Yeah. that was
Were
the
they
worst part.
playing
of it.
Reds?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I
hey,
mean,
hey.
I mean, you should.
Don't question me. I don't know.
You should have a handful of discs that do
Let's
the
just
same
go on.
thing.
How
for
did your
200
battle for
foot
Bedford go,
shots.
Brodie?
It did not go good.
All right.
It was not good. But I got to watch some good disc golf, so that was good.
Nice.
So it's always fun watching good disc golf. Unfortunately, it wasn't coming from myself. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see kind of what I end up doing this off season, because right now, like obviously, my plan is to do the Halloween Classic in Vegas, and then I'll have that's the same time as Lake Marshall, so I won't be doing that silver event. But the Jacksonville event, I will be going to, and that will be my first, I guess,
2023 event.
2023 event, but it'll still be in 2022. And then as of right now, the plan is to not play anything until the Las Vegas Challenge. We'll see, maybe something comes up in the Texas, Dallas area that I'm like, ooh, this would be fun. But playing this event, like obviously Foundation has a little bit of a presence, I guess you could say, at it. And we did a couple things leading up to it. I did a clinic. We did a Foundation team battle, which will be on the YouTube channel here coming up soon, leading up to it. So that's all cool. This McDonald's apple pie is just really delicious. It's really just going down the throat very smoothly.
I saw they have a cheese Danish now.
That's disgusting.
Is
It's
it
not
good?
disgusting. It's
That's-
incredible.
That's,
I haven't tried it. It just sounds
The
incredible.
one at Starbucks is good.
I like fruit Danishes. I don't want cheese on my Danish.
It's like
But
cream cheese, though. Okay,
this
keep
might-
going.
It's cream cheese.
I'll say this might be my last year playing in the Battle for Bedford. 2 reasons. First one, mainly because it's way different, because the Halloween Classic to me is like more of a fun tournament.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm trying to win, and it'll be awesome to go out and win. But I'm going to be going out in the morning caddying for Kelsey. I'm going to be watching probably some of Trevor's rounds. I'm going to be watching some of my other buddies' rounds. Like it's more like a fun event, which I would say a lot.
Like you wouldn't go play that event if you didn't have like 10 friends playing it.
I would not go out to Vegas and play that event by myself.
Yeah.
Where I don't know why no one else in Foundation didn't play. I was the only one. I don't.
Battle for Bedford?
Yeah,
I was
what
running
was up
it.
with that?
I was running it.
Silas?
I couldn't play.
Big game, man. Big football game.
Connor?
When I wasn't playing it?
Yeah.
I was out of town.
He was
Trevor?
camping.
I had family in town.
Okay, so I mean, everyone's just got excuses apparently.
I mean, I
So-
don't know what to tell you, man. I was running it. I would have been right there. I would have been in the trenches
You would have been
with
in the
you.
mix, man. You would have been in the mix.
What? This was on the calendar back. I sanctioned this thing like January.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. But there's a huge difference in pro tour events and obviously like local events. And one of those big differences, which is kind of funny because this was something I felt like we talked a lot about on debate night last year, not so much this year, is backups.
Yeah.
The backups in local events is,
It's hard to get volunteers.
And yeah, like
because spotters help so much.
Not having spotters. Yeah, having spotters speed up pace of play.
Was there no spotters?
No, there was one spotter.
Not on New London?
No.
Last year we had a lot of volunteers.
Not a single spotter on New London.
Wow. Yeah, that makes it hard.
And also a month later, you have all the leaves on the ground. Yeah. So that it wasn't like you were just walking up being like, oh, there's my green disc. Like, so understandably, there was a lot of backups, but like playing around that should probably take just over 2 hours and having it take 3 hours and 50 minutes because you're waiting 5 to 10 minutes on every tee pad. That's just like, oh man. And then also I'm just not a huge fan of Goliath. A lot of people probably don't even know what that course is. You guys played it once. There's a video.
We'll have a video with you coming out.
But there'll be a new video with us playing it where it's like actually with tee pads and all that stuff. And you can take a look at it. My opinion, and you can give your opinion on the course. My opinion on the course is like, as far as a course that is designed to reward good shots and punish bad shots, I don't think it does a great job. And also there's tons of blind shots on the course. And then honestly, the biggest gripe is like you have New London. And like New London to me is one of my favorite courses. So going and only being able to play New London once and then going and playing Goliath once, like
you just want to play New London twice.
I would rather just play New London twice. And it looks like that's probably, they're going to continue to probably have Goliath maybe at the Battle for Bedford. So for that, I'm out.
Makes sense. All right, well, let's talk through the little slightly smaller event. It wasn't quite to the scale of Bedford.
No, I mean, it was a pretty big event. They had big in the name.
Yeah.
You can't say it's a small event that has big.
I mean, we could have called our event the Big Battle for Bedford, but you know,
I would do a lot better.
What was it even called?
Yeah.
Big Money Skins something? Firefest?
Big Money Skins match.
Was it Big Firefest Skins match?
Here's the thing.
Right.
I hate rubbing it in when I'm right, but we were right. We were right.
So I talked about it on Grip Locked a little bit. Leading up to the event, the first thing that made me go, huh.
We did like an hour and a half of research, like a digging into like what's these websites? Why are there 8 websites for this? Why is there like 8 different ways of gambling?
Let's put it this way.
We did our research.
When there's $100,000 at an event, $50,000 going to the winner, you would think they'd spend more than $10 on a website. And the website design, I mean,
here's the thing.
I could have done a better website.
You don't even need a website. Just don't even have a website.
Yeah. Or have one website instead of 7.
That's probably the best play. But like, if you're not going to have a good website, just don't have a website.
Yeah.
And literally just
livediscgolf.net, weird. Supportdiscgolf.com, I think it was weird.
Did they not want to spend money on UDisc? Is that why is like, do you have to pay money to have your event on UDisc?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, definitely. Yes. They could have just shared the
leagues.
Leagues do not.
I just played a league and they were on UDisc.
Leagues do not.
So why couldn't they just go that route and just make it like a dark horse league?
Well, but their scoring was so weird because like they're keeping they had the aggressive format or the skins format.
That is true. There's just also all this information just like was really easy.
No, you couldn't find it anywhere. That was the other thing that made it fishy flag number 2. Really tough to find information. Fishy flag number 3. Whoa. Fishy flag number 3. The pay-per-view was announced 2 weeks before the event.
I think it might have been week of the event. Might have been week of.
It was leading up.
Yeah.
You're thinking it's just going to be another skins match that's been going on. I know it's $15 pay-per-view.
Yikes.
That one's tough. Then Friday rolls around. Turns out Friday was never planned to be live broadcasted. Don't think that was announced. I saw a lot of people on Facebook why can't I watch today? And they were like, oh, it's the seeding match. You don't watch the seeding match. And it's well, I paid for $15. I thought I was paying for 3 days of disc golf. And then obviously when the live coverage did come on, it was probably best there wasn't live coverage Friday.
I would love to have Trevor get on someone from GK to
Like, what the heck happened?
Give
Well,
us a
I heard
more
they hired
in-depth-
a company.
Yeah,
and that company
specialized in live sports production. I think this is their first time trying it.
I mean, it had to have been.
Mason Productions or something. Well, that was another red flag.
There's just a lot of
You
question
Googled
marks.
Mason Productions.
Yeah, what was
You couldn't
that?
find anything tied to live sports production anywhere on the online. The only Mason Productions you could find was like a wedding videographer,
Wow.
basically.
It must have been just like a trial thing, and they were like, "Hey, we can do this."
Made no sense.
And they were
Then
like,
they
"No."
hired a commentator who didn't know anything about disc golf and didn't try to act like he knew anything about
To
disc
be
golf.
fair, though,
which might have been better.
he was the most from the 30 seconds that I probably went on like 5 times and just watched 30 seconds just to kind of
Be like, oh, did
get
it
an
get
idea
any
of what's
better?
going on.
Yeah.
The comment section was having an absolute field day. And I think that actually, I think the comment section probably entertained people more
Oh, the comment section was fun.
than the actual coverage.
Well,
itself.
I did feel bad for Big Germ and the commentator because I think what was happening was they were getting fed the live stream in front of them,
You just couldn't see anything.
and so they were having to randomly fill blocks of like 20 minutes of no footage.
Well, I also
Where
don't
it was
think
just like, what do? You got to
That's
scramble
tough.
because you don't have footage.
they
Well,
also
and their
didn't
shot,
have
the green screen.
Well, there was also
That
no
was
scoring.
strange.
There was no. I don't think they were having.
No, they didn't have scoring graphics.
They were having a really hard time knowing what was
What's
going
going
on.
on.
So yeah, I mean, I think what this really showed at the end of the day is like putting on. And I talked about this. I think did I talk about this? The Dove Awards. Did I talk about that last week?
Yeah.
No,
Had I already gone to the Dove
You
Awards?
talked about it.
Had I already gone, or was I
No.
going?
yeah, you had
You talked about it on
Wait.
something.
I feel like I talked about something, right?
What did you talk about it on?
the banter.
Was it on
maybe?
banter? Maybe I don't know, but
I don't think
basically,
you talked about it.
basically a really in the grand
matter.
scheme of things of like award shows, I
Yeah.
would say the Dove Awards is not like one of the biggest award shows, and you would be blown away with how many people were working on this show that wasn't even live. In the sense of like, obviously they posted, it came out live on Friday, but it was filmed on Tuesday, and so they had tons of time to do everything. I mean, there was 40, 50 plus people like just working on the production side of things. So I think what this really showed is like, again, I think I've said this before. I feel like I've broken record, or I'm maybe having some deja vu. Like what the Disc Golf Network is able to do with the manpower that they have and the budget that they have
It's unreal.
is very impressive. And I think what this brought us back to, this event, it brought us back to like what disc golf was
Not even.
several years ago. It might have been worse. It
It was work. You couldn't see it. You couldn't see anything.
I guess you'd much rather see stuff on like a potato.
They were better off just live streaming from their phone.
Yeah,
on Instagram or something.
Well, I think that's what Thomas Gilbert was doing.
Is that what he
I
was
think that's
doing?
how I think Terry at one point Terry was posting in the comment section on the YouTube channel on the YouTube stream updates from Thomas Gilbert's Instagram
funny.
live on like what's going on. So he'd be like, this person has a putt to win this many skins.
Oh my
and
gosh.
But I mean the
was awful.
whole like actual like viewing side of things go, like I didn't need to sit there and watch hours of it to see. I saw tons of comments. It didn't go well. And obviously it didn't go the way they wanted to. GK Pro has come out and said that they are going to refund people that
Has livediscgolf.net come out and said anything?
here's the thing is like, again, there's so many, to me, it's weird. Cause like it's very similar to like when the Worlds situation last year was happening, when like Worlds was like kind of falling apart and things were going bad, of where there was like a couple different people involved. And so like people would just be like, oh, it's not us, it's this.
Yeah.
Like this seems like I don't know the hierarchy of this big money skins match. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is GK Pro the highest or are they the lowest on the
Yeah,
scale?
were they just the camera operators and, hey, we'll put this on our YouTube channel? Were they, like you said, like, were they the masterminds behind everything? Was the owner of Eagles Crossing the masterminds? Was this new Mason
it Gateway?
Productions? Was Gateway? Like, there's so many different parties.
Yeah, I think the production people, they came to GK Pro and they're like, hey, we can make
What
this
production
live.
people, though?
The
Mason
whatever
Production?
company, yeah. They were like, hey, we can make this live. And GK Pro was like, oh, okay, nice. We'll do that.
Because there are people on GK Pro that do film for the Disc Golf Network.
Yes.
Right. So like they have had experience filming live stuff. But like, there's just so many question marks that
So many.
I feel like either
GK Pro definitely has some accountability because they told their audience multiple times, like they were the ones hyping up this production company, telling people to subscribe. The pros that played the event, I think, have some accountability because they told their audience to buy the pay-per-view and like saying, come, do this to watch me. They didn't, I mean, obviously they were being asked to do that. It was pretty obvious, but you have to hold people accountable with what they're advertising for to a certain extent as well. And then obviously Eagles Crossing, Mason Productions, and whether or not Gateway's tied into it all or not, I don't know. Some of the links to the websites, when you took you to Gateway websites, the only reason I'm bringing them into it. Those who they all have some, like everyone has some form of accountability. Like people can't point fingers, but so many times.
Here's the thing. I think we're making this probably out to be a bigger thing than it actually was. I don't think that many people. Well, hear me out. I don't think that many people saw Ricky promote it or Kevin Jones promote it or Eagle promote it and go, I'm going to buy it because there are some, but I'm not saying an absorbent amount.
I mean, probably not an absorbent amount, but I would bet. I bet there's a lot of people that didn't hear about the event unless
but what I'm saying is I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that no pro has come out and said, hey, I just want to apologize. It's different if a pro says, hey guys, I'm doing this sick disc release and all the discs that come out are like foils are dropped or like they're warped or whatever. Then the pro probably, even though the manufacturer was the one that made it, the pro's name is attached to it. The pro also probably should come out and say something. I'm just saying, I don't think it was to that point of where. I
don't think you need to see an apology.
Like
I just think it's something like you need to pay attention to what you're promoting.
No, I know. And we compared it to Firefest.
Yes.
I think that was like, so many people just blindly took money to promote an event without doing any sort of research that then they had people literally fly into the event. Like they were paying $15 and having the event not be great, and then you get your money back.
Not that big of a deal. Correct.
Flying, like planning out a whole trip and flying to something and like that is way bigger. So that's what I was saying. It's not as big.
It also seemed like on the grounds from a fan perspective, it was probably an entertaining event.
I haven't heard from any spectators.
I'm saying,
I've heard from pros.
Disc golf did happen. Someone did win $50,000 that they should be paid out here soon if they haven't already got paid out. And money was put on the table that people did win. So, like, if you were on the ground at Eagles Crossing, you're probably seeing all this pushback online being like, what the heck?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Probably.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
But
no, that makes sense.
Well,
I want to finish up with one more thing.
Okay, but it'll be fascinating to see if any pros. I mean, I'd be shocked if any pros say anything.
I don't think they will.
Because
I don't think so.
They're not going to bring.
There's enough money on the line.
They don't want
money on the line.
They don't want to bring attention to it either. All right, so I do have a couple comments from someone that was actually playing in the event.
Okay.
So I just want to say. These are also some kind of concerns, I guess, and this is something, again, like if this event wants to happen next year, like I said, it wasn't really like hush money. That's not like the right terminology, but like when you are getting paid an absorbent amount of money to do something, you're less likely to complain about stuff. So these are things that if these things happened on the Pro Tour, there would be an absolute uprising. The Pro Tour, we get upset when there's not water on the course during our practice rounds, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of like whatever. So apparently there was someone that thought that their tee time was like at 9 or 9:30 and apparently got a phone call at 7:30 in the morning letting them know that their tee time was at 8. And they were roughly 30 minutes away because, again, if you've ever been out to Eagles Crossing, it's in the middle of nowhere.
If you're staying at a hotel, you're not close to the course.
They're not close. So apparently tee times were something that was just not communicated well. People really had no idea when they were playing. It was just not really communicated well. There were also, with the communication issue, they were told that there was like multiple websites. This kind of goes back to what we were saying. They had like 3 different websites and like also a Facebook page that they were supposed to be checking for information. So there wasn't like, Disc Golf Pro Tour does a really good job of literally sending out an email saying, hey, tee times are up on the PGA website or on UDisc. And you can go on either one. Boom, there's your tee time. You're good. This seemed like there wasn't really a clear definition or a
like this is where you check.
This is where you check to see where you play next. Also, the formats were different. We talked about this a little bit. One round they would play skins. Another round they would play like basically what a Stableford is in golf, where you get points for eagles, you get points for birdies, you get points for pars, and so it really makes you want to play aggressive, right? Because like if you have a chance for eagle, you can get massive amounts of points. Those two formats you play completely differently, obviously, because if all three of your card mates throw a B on a hole, you just have to play safe, make par, and you win the skins. Versus all three of your card mates throw a B on a hole, you don't care what they did. You're trying to get points for yourself. So apparently one team was told incorrect information and played a completely different format. And the reason why that matters is because they were taking, when they were doing skins, I think they were taking into account how many skins you won and matching that up against everyone else in the field. And then when you're playing the Stableford format, they were taking how many points you played. So it mattered because people were playing obviously different than they would in a different format, but yet they were still having to compare to the rest of the field. So that was kind of wild that happened. Again, when there's $100,000 or $50,000 on the line, you can't have people playing the wrong format.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, again, all this information, like I didn't even know this. I didn't know there was a seeding process. I didn't know.
I heard there's a seeding match, but I didn't know what the heck it meant.
Yeah, there was no real information. Apparently, depending on how you did in the season. So if you won events or how you did in majors or whatever it is, there was some sort of way of like getting seeded in like this qualifying portion. And then there was everyone else that was like not qualified. Because you saw too, like there were a lot of like dark horse people in the event.
Yeah.
Right. You could have technically even signed up.
I should have.
You should have. So those people would have all been in the non-qualified. The qualified was like 31 players or 30 players. So even though Gavin Babcock shot the best out of the entire field, he was in non-qualified. So the highest he could get seeded was like 32. And so being seeded 32, he was with like 3 other killers when he had to go and play skins, where he would have been much better off just not playing well and being like 60th seed, and then he would have been in a group with like 1 good player and 2 like not great players.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the weirdness of where I feel like if you're going to have a seeding thing, you got to make it to where like the person that plays the best like probably should get the best seed moving forward. But other than that, it was great. It was great. All right, enough of the big money skins.
They just need like a hub, like one website that just does it all.
We'll see what you guys think in the comments. People, if you were on the grounds, let us know. If you played in the event, let us know. And if you watched, let us know. It'd be interesting to see if we messed up anything. I don't think we did, but maybe some of the information was incorrect.
Fascinating.
So fact check us and do all that fun stuff, but we'll see. And again, it's kind of nuts because this is something that we've always said, like we need more money in disc golf. We need bigger payouts and stuff like that. Is it, do we want that if it comes at this cost?
No, you need more money in the right places.
Okay.
Is how I would put it. Because realistically, grand scheme, growth of disc golf, $100,000 to this big money skins match that it seems like the course doesn't really want much to do with the Pro Tour, the PDGA. Unless honestly, it's like on their terms.
Not that big of a purse.
No. Well, $50,000 to a winner.
No. But we had purses that were that big. It
but
was
like
just the money was spread.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. The money was spread wide. Yeah. So all that was really happening is just more money was going to the top.
That money as like one added cash sponsor at the Tour Championship or an event, or heck, that money donated to give baskets to schools does way more for the sport of disc golf. So like more money in the sport is like the true overarching statement, but it's context of that statement is it needs to be going to the right places.
I mean, Calvin's going to have a great vacation.
Oh, the winner should be out by the time it's it. Yes.
Yeah, the winner's out. Yeah.
I was trying my best. It got spoiled for me because a player in the audience was filming Luke Humphrey's dog.
No, this is out Tuesday night
on their story.
The footage is coming out on Monday.
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
When you have a live event, it's hard not to spoil it. And when they decided not to make the final day live, then you had a player filming Luke Humphrey's dog, and in the background you have Calvin holding this massive trophy being interviewed by GK Pro, and it's like, oh, Okay, I guess Calvin won 50 grand.
Yeah. I think people are smart enough to know that, like, if the coverage has already come out, we're talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether it's live,
I was in
or
grip
post.
lock mindset because
Yeah,
grip
yeah.
lock, I don't know when the coverage is coming out. So
Fair.
I didn't want to spoil who won 50 grand. If it was like a normal whatever, if live coverage is out, we talk about it. A fully posted event, I tried not to.
When
All
does the next thing come out for GK? The final.
Should have
Monday.
been yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh,
should've been-
okay.
As of this coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I want pizza.
Maybe we could spoil it. Who knows? Okay, we got a couple.
Oh, also, quick shout out to Flippy Disc Golf sending me this sick hoodie. I think they sent it to. Well, they didn't send it to you, so get
yeah,
wrecked.
you didn't even get me one.
Get wrecked.
But I
son.
got my Get Spooky
You have to
shirts.
get spooky shirt, but Flippy. I
These
think
are
just dropped
Get Spooky are available. These shirts are available.
Not a sponsor of today's episode. I'm just rocking it.
These shirts are available right now. I think the drop's actually happening today. Yeah, the drop's already happened, or maybe happening in a little bit. Who really knows?
You should. It's your
What?
shirt. You should know.
Well, it's tough to know when you're going to post the.
That's true.
Post this.
That's 6:30 p.m.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so the Get Spooky drop will be happening. If you're listening to this when it comes out, it will be happening.
In like 30 minutes.
Well, Flippy hoodies are already.
Flippy hoodies are
available,
on,
right?
they're live on the site.
Oh,
Yeah.
That could be a future disc too. Get Flippy.
Get Flippy.
All right.
get Flippy.
It's a heat.
So we got a couple. I mean, nothing really else obviously happened. I mean, there are going to be some probably discussions with player contracts. That's like
Yeah.
the big things that we discuss about in the off season. Those might be popping up here and there. Outside of that, not really anything else to talk about. Obviously, Lake Marshall coming up, first silver event for the 2023 season. I also didn't know this when I was looking at the whole schedule and everything. I didn't realize that silver events
Are worth more.
got upgraded from 25% to 50.
That means I'll care about them 25% more.
Well, here's the thing. You can like
0 times.
here's the thing. You can get like 125 points now from silver events.
That's a big win. That's a lot of points.
So, like, in the grand scheme of things, they are going to matter for making the tour champion. For making the tour championship.
How many can you count this year? Can you count the same amount?
Same, yeah.
Which is
I believe 3 out of 7.
there's only 7 still this year. They have the same amount, even with the 2 wraparound events.
3 out of 8.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
I won't.
I didn't come into here thinking I was going to be talking about silver.
No,
events.
that's fair. I was just curious because they added the 2 wraparound. I didn't know if they like removed some to add or if they just like straight up added and it went from like 7 to 9 or something.
But I will
That's
say
next year, man.
I will say I am interested in watching some of the coverage from Lake Marshall because I have heard a lot of good things.
Every
from it.
time someone from that area sees me, they hound me about getting out there.
But I also did the same thing at Dash's track with you guys, so I don't know.
Where is Lake Marshall?
Because
It's like
Dash's
3.5
track is
hours away.
Oh,
not
that's not
a
that
good
bad.
pro tour.
No, it's just like it's a little too far for a day trip, but like
Where are we talking?
middle of nowhere.
Well, like
Honestly-
like what state?
Virginia.
Honestly, Dash's track would be an absolute baller pro tour event.
What?
If
No.
they just had one pro tour event there,
Why?
Isn't that
I
just like
mean-
a pitch and putt?
Everyone would shoot 18 under.
not everyone. No, you're not burning every single hole out there. Some of those holes are a little tricky. But you feel like you should get every single one. So like every hole feels like hole 17 at USDGC. Like I'm just saying, it could be an absolute bloodbath. Like after the first day, you're going to have like 5 people at 17 under, 35 people at 16 under, 40 people at 15 under. I mean, it's
So we just need to have the Battle for Bedford at
Peaksview.
Peaksview's way harder than Dash's track.
Really?
Way harder. Yeah.
The average hole length's like twice as long, probably.
Way harder.
What?
Dash's track is like you should get up and down, but if
Yeah.
you mess up a little bit, you're not birdieing it.
That's
because
kinda cool.
you're gonna hit a tree.
I don't know. That'd be kinda
Dash's
cool,
track is
Brodie.
literally you're scrambling
From the
from
tee.
inside of 200 feet.
That's kind of cool.
So you should get up and down, but
Yeah.
like
But
you
if
have to
don't,
still hit a
then you
gap.
really sacrifice.
We
Yeah.
did a Heiser Club event out there.
Dash's track is phenomenal. It's like one of the greatest courses ever created.
Where you weren't there for it.
Well, you know we're
We
playing.
played it without you.
No, I know, but you know we're playing
electric.
when you guys come down this
What
Big
is
Bear.
It? Big Bear.
You guys haven't played Big Bear yet.
No.
Big Bear layout is so much fun. All right, I got a couple topics here that from our listeners that wanted us to talk about. These were the best ones.
Okay.
And I think some of them are pretty interesting. So we'll see what they go. And if they don't, you know what? It might be an early debate night for you guys. And that's okay.
That's fine.
All right. Is the future of disc golf on bigger courses or
Okay.
slower discs?
Bigger courses.
Okay.
You don't want to slow disc down because you want people, like, part of disc golf that's electric is people throwing the disc far. If you made everyone throw mids, it makes disc golf less fun to watch.
This is what I'll also say. When you really think about it, the courses that we currently are playing on are not on a lot of land. So if you take a disc golf course, heck, look at like an OTB. You take a disc golf course and you like put it on a golf course, it's like on a third of the golf course.
Yeah.
The entire disc golf course. So the amount of land that you need for a really good disc golf course is not a crazy amount.
I feel like you hit golf balls way further than you throw.
Besides, you hit a golf ball like 900 feet.
You can basically go yards to feet. And
Did you watch Worlds this year?
Yes.
Emporia. Okay, so Emporia Country Club, the par 5.
Yeah.
That's a drivable par 3 or drivable par 4 in golf.
For golf.
Yes.
Okay.
It's par 5 in disc golf.
It's a par 5. It's like one of the longer.
You gotta think of putting.
One of the longer par 5s in
You
disc
gotta think
golf.
of putting difference.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like in golf, they're thinking you're getting on the green in 2 shots.
Golf's all about the around the green. Around the green is so much, like, you have so many more strokes. I mean, just think about you when you played a golf hole.
I know.
You actually played pretty good.
4 strokes.
Think about Hunter.
I got to the green.
Think about Hunter. Hunter could get to the green in 1 or 2 strokes, but then it would take him 5 or 6 to get into the hole.
Not anymore, man. My short game's on fire.
When's
the last time you played?
Never learned how to chip.
A month and a half ago. I can chip now. You can ask Trevor.
Never learned how to chip.
That's all I can do.
All right, we got
hit the ball to save my life anymore.
We got another
I can
question
chip,
here.
baby.
You lost your power slice.
No, I haven't.
Playoffs.
Worse than ever.
Playoffs should be finish in the top X spots or your season is over. I.e., top 80 finishers at GMC this year make it to MVP. Top 32, 40, 48, whatever you want, make it to Charlotte. I know the argument is that a great season can be lost in one weekend, but I think that's just sports. So basically, you've got Ricky dominating the season as far as tour points goes to MVP, plays decent MVP, goes to Maple Hill, finishes 33rd, isn't in the tour championship.
Yeah, I think that's stupid.
I guess the other question too that I would have is like,
no, the real question is what's the point of the playoffs?
Well,
in general, in golf, what's the point of the playoffs?
Yeah, I just don't think with how disc golf is set up, if you're trying to make something.
Because I agree with what he's saying. Like, if we're calling it the playoffs, what he just said makes sense.
Yeah, if you want to create absolute chaos, that's what you do. If you want to create probably the best product for viewers, you got to make it where the people that were the biggest stars in the season have the best chance of sticking around.
Yeah.
You don't want one of your top 5, top 10 players to miss.
Here's an idea.
Okay.
You figure out a way that you get to the playoffs. Okay, you start the playoffs event. It's still a 3-event playoffs, right? Okay. So tour championship's it, final one. You still have the cuts. We'll figure out how the cuts are going to work. I'm workshopping this idea out, so I don't have it fully yet. But you do the stroke head start. But basically, the playoffs event are counted as individual events, but then the tour championship counts it all as one ongoing event. So that you play 3 different styles of courses.
Whoa.
So when you get to the tour championship,
you're like 60 under par.
Yeah, you basically, you can figure out how you want to weigh it or whatever.
Well, then you would just
that's how you get your stroke head start, is how you performed at
interesting.
D-Glow, and then you go to a wooded course, then you get to the tour championship, so it's a better tell of the whole season.
So if
the playoffs actually matter.
Yeah, if Ricky was like, let's say 40 under going into the tour championship and I was 30 under, I would just get leveled back and Ricky would start 10 under. And I would be...
Yeah, essentially. You'd figure out how to restructure.
You just do that.
But you make it be like one continuous event to a certain extent, so then you don't have the problem of like the tour championship.
What if a big player misses one though? That's the only thing.
You wouldn't be able to miss.
You can't miss.
You can't miss.
You're out.
You have to play.
That would suck.
I guess. I mean Haley King kind of.
What if LeBron James misses a playoff event?
Well, Haley King kind of like. She kind of did that this year.
Then deuces.
I know, but she didn't deuces. She showed up.
Yeah, I'm saying that you wouldn't be able to in this format.
Okay, so you have to show up to both playoff events.
It would be one continual event.
Yeah.
So like in this format, it's not playoff events. It's the playoffs.
Honestly, I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. So I don't really know.
I'm just saying, like, if we're having playoffs, like right now, the way the playoffs are, it means nothing to the top guys. Ricky was qualified for the bye well before he showed up to the playoff events.
It means
something for the cut of like trying to get in.
Here's the thing. I think it has potential of meaning stuff more down the road.
But why do we need playoff events? Is what I'm guessing. It was one more what I'm asking. Like, you need the tour championship. Why do you need playoff events leading up to the tour championship?
Well, I mean, it's like, why do you need a world championship? Why do you need majors? I think it's a way of the Disc Golf Pro Tour having something that is more meaningful.
But that's what I'm saying is like
Maple Hill was more meaningful this year because it was a playoff event versus it being just the MVP Open in years past. It was
like if it meant more, but what if it meant more because it like all tied together? So the playoff events, like
no, I'm not saying that wouldn't be.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect. I'm just saying the reason I think the playoff system exists.
I just think it needs a restructure because it doesn't mean that much to the top guys.
But I don't think I think it doesn't mean them that much to the top guys right now.
Correct.
Because
if the tour championship was a stroke head start, then it could be crucial because one or two spots.
It meant more about the top. It meant more to the top guys this year than it did last year.
Last year playoffs didn't exist.
If playoffs existed last year,
why?
I'm saying because more points are getting spread around. So like if you look at FPO for example, FPO is probably what like MPO would have been X amount of years ago,
sure.
Where like the top people have so many points that it doesn't really matter. Where like for example, like it's eventually going to move up, right? So like where I was this year, I was like on the cut line of making it in or not making it to the qualified thing. Eventually, the next group is going to feel that impact, right? You would assume as the field got better and better.
If you're someone in 5th place going into the playoff events, you're not worried about dropping to 37th place.
No, but you could be worried about dropping to 9th. You could.
Maybe.
And then you lose guaranteed money by doing that.
Sure, but I'm just saying it doesn't have that like cutthroat feel.
Correct. It definitely doesn't. And
playoffs,
you're right.
Playoffs give you the title. Playoffs gives you a cutthroat feel when it's not there.
I'm just saying, if you want the chaos, that would be the chaos. Is like, hey, if you're not top 30, if you're not top 32 out of Maple Hill, you're.
I don't think you want full chaos, but I do think it'd be kind of cool to like make the playoffs like a continual, like your performance at GMC is going to affect your head start at Tour Championship. So when you get to the playoffs, maybe you start with a head start at GMC.
Like
and then it's across all 3 events.
There's nothing that's jumping out of me right now that's like that's a bad idea. I feel like we're missing something though, and maybe someone in the comments will let us know. But it feels like we're missing something. Like there's some sort of loophole or there's something that wouldn't make that work. But the way you're saying it,
because like what it tells me, like
I'm
to
like,
me,
yeah, that sounds good.
The other reason I like it is because then it lets you have an open course and a wooded course, and then the Tour Championships at a mixed course. So you have to be a good disc golfer on all 3 types.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
I like it. Here's a not. What do you think it's easier? What do you think? Not you personally.
Okay.
Just like a random disc golfer.
I'm a random disc golfer, right?
Do you think it's easier for them to get better in the woods or better in the open?
Better in the open, for sure.
Open, yeah.
Absolutely.
So you think it's easier to get distance than it is to throw straight?
Well, you don't have to just throw straight. You have to hit gaps, and you have to
you're hitting gaps straight though. Like throwing straight.
Okay,
when I mean like throwing straight, I mean like throwing accurate.
Let's put it this way. You have a 300-foot open hole. You have a 300-foot wooded hole. I swing my drive 10 feet too far wide and the 300-foot open hole.
This is a different argument.
Let me just explain it. I
hear what you're saying. It's a different argument.
How's a different argument?
My argument is it easier to get better at hitting a 10-foot gap 50 feet away? Or is it easier to learn how to get another 75 feet?
That wasn't what you
asked
me.
That's what I'm asking.
You said
that's what I'm asking now.
Yeah, I think
open
it's
or
two
wooded?
different.
Those are two different arguments.
That's what I'm asking now, though. That's what I'm asking.
75 feet of distance or hit a gap 50 feet away?
What is this?
How far is the gap?
What skill is easier to get better?
How far am I throwing to hit the gap 50 feet away? Is it a 200-foot hole, a 500-foot hole?
No, you're throwing like a mid. You're throwing a mid.
That's obviously way easier, but that's not the same as adding 75 feet of distance.
What?
Yeah. two
You're
different
asking
things.
someone to throw 75 feet farther.
I'm just asking what skill is easier to get better at. Being able to throw further or being able to throw more accurately? That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
It's not, though.
How's that not a fair question?
Well, because throw farther, 100%
It'd be the same question as me asking, like, is it easier to get better at putting or is it easier to get better at throwing a forehand? Like, those are two skills that you need to try to get good at.
Comparing open to wooded,
No.
that's a fair question.
We're not doing that anymore, though.
But now you're asking two. Like,
I'm asking two skill
completely
sets.
different
I'm just
skills.
asking two skill
Accuracy
sets.
It doesn't.
I'm not
it
saying-
it's completely person dependent.
But I'm not saying gaining distance is going to make you better in the open, and therefore, I'm not trying to go open
Is it easier
wood.
to grill a perfect steak or write your ABCs?
That is not.
They're two completely different skill sets.
That is not the same thing.
Is it easier to write a novel or be able to dunk a basketball?
Do you think some people? Do you think? Okay, here's another.
Like you're comparing
here's a good
two
question.
completely different skill sets.
Here-
Open or wooded, that's a fair question, and it's 100% harder to be a better wooded player than better open player.
Well, here's the other question though. The other question is, so are you saying that everyone's different to where you think some people it's going to be easier for some people to hit gaps, to get better at hitting gaps than gaining distance? And do you think there's going to be some people that it's going to be easier for them to gain distance versus hitting gaps?
I think there's some people that hitting a gap for everyone's hard. Okay.
Correct.
But some people, there's only as far as you're going to be able to throw, body type wise. So it's going to be easier for you to hit 450 than it'll be for me to hit 450 because you have a bigger lever to work with.
Okay.
So if we're both sitting at 400 feet, it's way easier for
So
you.
I have an advantage already. You're saying
It's way easier for you to gain 75 feet of distance.
no one
than
has
me.
an advantage with hitting gaps.
Hitting gaps is like,
No advantage.
I don't think so. Who has an advantage hitting gaps?
That's just a question.
I'm saying. So that's why it's an impossible thing.
I don't have any sort of motive. I feel like you guys think I have a motive here. I don't have a
Technically, the
motive.
person with longer arms is actually closer to the basket.
Also a valid
Dark
point.
Horse Silas.
But what I was saying is the original question, why wooded golf is harder, is if you miss your line by 5 feet in the woods, you're probably hitting a tree.
Mm-hmm.
If you miss your line by 5 feet in the open, you might have a 15-foot putt instead of a 10-foot putt.
Correct.
Yes.
That's why wooded golf's harder.
I don't think.
That's why I think it's easier for someone to become a better open golfer.
The only other thing I want to propose out there is, do you find it harder to see the line that you need to throw in open versus having the line already there for you in woods?
It depends. In the open, if I'm throwing a hyzer, it's 100% a field-based shot. I don't need to see a line. But if there's like, for some reason I have to throw like an anti-flex and I have to find a point, then yeah, it's easier to find that line in the woods.
Okay.
But 9 times out of 10, I can just throw the hyzer in the open.
I want to do this test, okay? Remember this, because I don't think we're going to have time to film it, but I want to do this test. 300 feet away, okay? Have you throw 10 shots, 10 of the same disc, whatever you want to do, to make it legit, 10 of the same disc, 300 feet away, okay? And you can throw whatever shot you want to throw at it.
Okay.
Then we put like 2 poles in your way that are like 20 feet apart, and you're 300 feet away, and you got to throw it through the 2 poles at the basket. I would love to, like, I think that'd be a good like test to see which one you're more accurate with.
Huh.
Because like one is like, it's
Well, the
it's
question,
kind of like
it's
the
more
same.
the question of like, if I miss the pole, because like just hitting a random gap in the middle of a wide open field, I could hit that gap way on the right side and still park the basket. But if I hit the gap way on the right side in the woods, I'm probably hitting a tree farther down the fairway. And I'm not able to park the basket.
But this is more the idea. I see what you're saying. This is more the idea of like, you're given a specific target, which is the basket out in the front, but now you have almost like a, I'm blanking on the words, but you have almost, it's the same thing when you're like practice putting, right? I guess I'll use an analogy because it's easier for me to explain. If I'm practice putting, it's way harder for me to have a 10-foot putt and make that 10-foot putt than it is if I put 2 tees down 3 feet in front of me.
And golf.
And golf, yeah. And I putt, and I know if it goes through those 2 tees with the right speed, it goes in.
So in your drill though, in disc golf,
Yeah.
are you putting them where you know if you hit that gap with this disc, it's going to be parked? Is that where the gap is? Or are you putting the gap where you're asking me to hit it and choose the shot that's going to be next to the basket?
Yeah. In this situation, it's a little bit different, I guess, because
in golf, you're putting those tees where you know if you hit it with the right pace, it's in the hole.
Correct. And granted, you can move that around to be like down here, you don't have to hit it as hard, it'll still go in. Up here, you have to hit it harder, it'll still go in. So it's like, obviously this would be a scenario of where I'm curious as if you give yourself a identified gap or identified line, and you're like, all right, all I'm focusing now is like throwing my buzz through this gap, and if I throw it through this gap, it's gonna get close to the basket, versus you're out in the wide open and now you're having to try to be like, all right, I'm gonna throw this Raptor, so I need to throw it.
If I can throw a hyzer,
yeah,
and you just put a basket 300 feet in front of me and I can throw a hyzer and there's no danger anywhere, my hyzer just by feel is going to be closer than if I have to hit a gap first. Gotcha. On average across 10.
Yeah.
Just because like when I line up a hyzer, that's the shot I naturally throw the most. I'm not thinking about where I'm releasing the disc. I just look at the basket and then my body just knows how to throw the hyzer.
Because the question
versus a gap, I'm looking at the gap and I'm trying to hit the gap and then let the disc do the work.
I guess the question I have is, we do play courses. Obviously, we play courses that you need length, right? Sure. But we definitely play open courses that you don't necessarily need length. Like Jonesboro is a course, for example, that is not very long. You don't need to really throw that far on that course. Fox Run, you don't really need to throw that far on that course. So the question is like, if you're really good at woods, what that tells me is you're very accurate. If you're trying to hit this line, you are probably hitting that line more than someone that's not good in the woods, that's spraying it all over the place. So why does that then not always translate for some people? Now, obviously, like the guys at the top, they're good at both. But like there are some people that are known to be good in the woods. Why doesn't that translate to the open courses that are not long?
Because
obviously if it's long,
I think you're going a little too generic, because I think some people are bad in the woods because they suck at disc selection in the woods.
That's what I was saying.
It's not necessarily accuracy versus inaccurate. It's
there's
like
that picking the right disc. Okay.
Yeah, to where like they see the gap, they might be able to hit the gap, but then the disc is going to fade out too soon, or it's too fast of a disc or whatever, or they're trying to throw too hard in the woods, whereas other people are disking up and slowing down versus someone who's a power thrower is disking down and speeding up, and then they're less accurate. But then you put them in the open.
We need to have a gap hitting. Competition for the All-Star. For the All-Star, we need to have a gap hitting competition for the All-Star.
Open course just gives you more options, and it gives people that indecisiveness.
Some people that are in the woods are good in the woods because they don't have to make a decision.
Yeah,
it's right there for you.
They look at it and it's like there's only one option.
That goes back to my point of like, if you have a basket that's 300 feet away and you can throw whatever you want, you would think like if you're good in the woods, you just throw that straight shot, like tunnel shot.
But when the tunnel's not there, it's hard.
Yeah.
But that's my point, is like when you don't have that specific line.
But throwing a hyzer in general is the easiest shot in disc golf.
Is it for everyone though?
Probably not, but if people practice a hyzer, it's the easiest because it's just consistent.
I want to see a gap hitting contest now in the All-Star event. I want to see that now. That would be.
They technically had one, didn't they?
That was an awful way of doing it. I want to see one where it's like glass breaking, of where they like have.
It gets narrower as it goes down.
I think Dude Perfect. Yeah, I think Dude Perfect just did this with Colin Morikawa. Gosh, I butchered his last name. Colin Morikawa. There it is. Where they basically started with like 2 sheets of glass like this, and they hit a golf ball through, and then the glass got a little closer. They hit a golf ball through, and it kept getting closer and closer until eventually someone hit it. Like that would be incredible. Like you
be going through a lot of glass.
You're trying. Well, Silas, the Pro Tour can handle that, man. They got sponsors now. All right,
glass sponsor.
Let's keep going. All right, we got one here. How much preparation, time, and focus gets lost by doing all the YouTube and social media stuff? I love it all, but I'm genuinely curious if you think you would be further along if you were only focused on tournament results. Either way, I enjoy all the content. So,
this is specifically about you or pros in general?
I think this is probably more about me. It could be more. That could go towards like Yuli or Big Germ, who does commentary afterwards too. Here's the thing. The one thing that takes away my time right now that I'm definitely looking to is to hire an editor. So that way when I am done filming the videos, I'm done with it. The editing process, obviously, I'm not really getting that much better at disc golf by editing for a couple hours, the videos. But when it comes to the actual videos, whether it be the doubles battle or the practice round, for example, that is literally what you guys are seeing is literally a practice round that me and Ezra does. Like that, if the camera wasn't there, there would be maybe a little bit less talking backwards to no one. But outside of that, like you're seeing exactly what a practice round looks like. And me and Trevor are going to be doing one here very soon. So you guys, that'll be on the Foundation channel. Check that out. Halloween Classic. Let's go. Sunset Park, baby. We'll see if we can stay out of trouble with some of the riffraff that is around that area. But yeah, I thought of a couple of things that have happened on that course.
Electric.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm sure Trevor's gonna have incredible stories, but yeah, that doesn't really take that much. And then honestly, the doubles battle, that is just kind of like a good, kind of almost like tournament-esque kind of pressure before. Yeah. It's not that bad at all. And if you really want to think about it, there was a couple tournaments, like DDO being one of them. Obviously, the weather was crazy there, but like DDO, I only got one practice round. And we filmed it, and it was at Jones, and then I had like my best finish all year. So I don't think there is any correlation to me filming and stuff to results. All I would say is it'd be nice to have like an editor, so that way like I can get to go to bed a little earlier.
Nice.
Making courses harder for pros. Do you think things like the layered cake green at Eagles Crossing or objects guarding a basket or tee at USDGC are the right direction or too gimmicky? What are your thoughts on the layered cake?
Try to remember it.
What do you mean try to remember it?
I think it was. I'm trying
it's
to
the
remember
same thing as like
it.
Texas State hole one. Texas State hole one with the big. It's the same. The pyramid is the same thing.
On the Texas State hole, I don't think I liked it. On the Eagles Crossing hole, I don't think I minded it.
It's literally the same thing.
No, because the hole was different. The hole leading up to it.
Oh, you're saying the entire hole matters, not just the green?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a par 5? What? Why does that matter?
I remember when I played Eagles Crossing. Maybe
it's a par 5.
Putt. Maybe it's the putt on Eagles Crossing.
You throw the first shot over the water.
They're both a little bit too much. Because the
too aggressive.
Texas State's was a par 3, and it made it where like no one's really running the putt for 2 because it's the first hole.
Oh, people ran it.
Some people did, and it made mistakes.
Yeah.
But like, if you're smart, you're not running it because it's the first hole of the round or the tournament. So just take a 3 on it and move on. Because if you run it, it takes it too far. But
it looks cool on camera.
It looked cool. Whereas like USDGC
with the pine trees
is more effective, but doesn't look as cool. If that makes sense. So I think USDGC gets flamed for being more gimmicky because the look versus like the Texas State's Eagles Crossing is probably actually more gimmicky, but looks better.
This is what I'll say. I think whenever courses try to make the tee shot harder by adding OB, because that's really the only way of making tee shots harder, right?
Yeah.
People get really upset about this unnatural OB. What I'll say to that though is I think stroke and distance can definitely can instantly make courses harder. That's why a lot of courses at USDGC are as hard as they are, is because if you throw OB on this hole or whatever, you're basically rethrowing. And so you're losing lots of strokes that way. I also think the way that USDGC uses hazard is incredible. And very few courses on tour let us use hazard, mainly because I think the PDGA is like
weird about
probably the big issue with it. But I love hazard because that way someone that throws a really bad shot and is like way over here has to play from there with an added stroke versus someone that throws like not that bad of a shot.
Why does the PDGA not like that?
I'm not sure why that is.
It's because they're sanctioning entire C tiers and stuff. So it's it's one of those rules where if you let it run wild,
it can get
there's going to
dicey.
be way more problems. Same thing with the island holes. The Pro Tour is going to do it in a tasteful way. Your local C tier, you're probably glad that you don't have access to.
Yeah, I think hazard can definitely make it. But outside of that, I think we are going to see, hopefully in the future, more greens that are like protected in the sense that you have to land in a certain spot to be able to have a putt.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And that's really the only way of doing it, unless we make smaller baskets that we've been asking for I don't even know. Eternity. Last one here. The players seem so accessible. Did I say that?
Accessible?
You
what?
hit the C a little harder.
Did I say the C as an
accessible. Yeah.
Accessible?
Accessible.
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 Yeah.
There you go.
Accessible.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a hard word for me to say. Pros and rec players practicing and playing on same courses. I live in Charlotte, and pros are all over local courses. As the sport continues to grow in popularity, I wonder how some pros will handle all the attention. So this is obviously a very interesting topic because it's unlike most other sports.
Yeah.
Where you're not really ever going to be playing basketball or football. Now, obviously, at some of these open gym practices that we see for like basketball, those are like invite only kind of practices, though, at like these, where do they have them at? Like Lifetime Fitness and stuff, like those type of places.
But there's been moments where like Rucker Park in New York, like Kobe's pulled up there.
Yeah, there's special moments.
But
you're
not
showing
shoot.
up and like someone's like working on their free throws.
Yeah, I'm not going to randomly pull up to the YMCA here and JJ Redick.
It's just like
just shooting,
working jumpers. Yeah. Those are all.
He's not in the NBA anymore. He's my favorite player.
Those are all very random activities or random spottings, and they're very, very cool. And that's probably why they mean so much, is because it's not something that happens all the time. Versus you go to a course and you're like, "Yep, they're here again. Yep, they're here. This is where they practice." So this is what I think is going to happen. I think because this happens, again. I think there's going to be almost like I wouldn't even say pay to play type of courses. I think there could potentially down the road be courses that are more like almost country club-ish.
Like membership?
Kind of, yes, of where they're a little bit more on the private side. So you will never go there and they'd be crowded. Now, again, I don't think disc golf is there yet, but this is where I could see it happening. Like I could see myself if, let's say New London, for example, a course like that. Or you can use WR Jackson or any kind of Pro Tour level course that is just really, really good. Maple Hill's another one, let's just say, of where if they were like, hey, you know what? We have so much interest in this course. We are going to now basically make it to where you have to have a membership to play it, but we'll leave open a couple days of the week where guests, obviously guests can always come out and play with a member, but we'll leave it open to the public. So like a Maple Hill, for example, maybe they have it like where like Friday and Tuesday from noon to 5 o'clock are open tee times. So if you're not a member, you can come and play it then. Sure. But every other time, members only. And I think what that would end up doing is obviously it'll make it to where the course isn't going to be as overly populated. You're never going to get to the course. There's going to be tons of people. But then also it just being a member, there is going to be a little bit more of this like notion of where there are some members that are out there that, this is their job. And so like they are, because again, I don't think you'll have any pro come out and say like, I hate when fans come up to me and ask for autographs and photos. I think most pros are always going to be giddy and think that's awesome and will love to do it. But again, you have to think about it. The question asked, as the sport continues to grow, the thought is, well, what happens if I'm out on the putting green at some course, putting practice, and the course is so popular that literally people are coming to play every 5 minutes, and every 5 minutes someone is coming and asking for a photo.
Yeah. And you like can't even get putts in.
That's gonna really make my practice disruptive, right? And so it's definitely not at that point. But eventually it could get to that point.
Because not like if you're putting for an hour and one person stops by and is like, yo.
Not a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't disrupt you. But yeah, if it's like every single card that comes through on a course and it's every 5 or 10 minutes to where you get like 3 putts, then it's like, okay.
And they're wanting to talk and like hang out for a little. So
it could get to that point. Because like if LeBron James walked into a mall, he's not getting any shopping done.
It would be tough. Yeah. I mean, he probably, if he
would have security,
he would have to have security that kind of pushes people in.
If he just walked in just himself, and he's like, I'm just trying to get to Foot Locker, he's not walking to Foot Locker.
Have you guys ever seen like a celebrity out in person?
Like personally?
Yeah.
No.
Not outside of like at a game. I've met people,
Yeah.
but like not
You've
just like
never
in
seen
the
like
public.
in the wild.
I've seen some people in New York City, but not like big celebrities where like
No,
people
like
are like,
people-
oh, taking a selfie and walk away. Not like swarmed.
It is wild.
Yeah.
It is. I've seen a handful of them, and it's like, I mean, you just have, the problem is like you get a couple people to notice them and they start running after them and
and
yelling,
everyone
and then
is just
everyone
like,
starts
"Who's
like,
that?"
wait a second, what's going on?
Yeah.
And even you just get to, you probably have some people that have like no idea who the person is, but there is so
That
much
happened to me in
hoopla.
China.
Yeah.
My brother.
I think you told a story.
Yeah, my brother pulled out his camera.
That
and
might
it
have been a
just-
Bogey Bros story.
My brother pulled out his camera to take a picture of me and my sister. But I was like away from my sister. So my sister walked up and was like, hey, let's take a picture together. My brother pulls out his big camera and takes a picture of us. And then a few Chinese people, we were on the Great Wall of China, turned around and thought that like my sister was an American tourist and recognized me and wanted a picture. So then they asked to get a picture.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, people started just wanting a picture. Obviously, I'm not famous. This was well before I even did anything on YouTube, to where like it's not like someone recognized me from Foundation randomly.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing to recognize me from at all.
You just don't want to miss out.
But people just didn't want to miss out. It was just like a moment where it was just like, oh, there's someone on the Great Wall of China. I need to get a picture with them. It's a similar thing to where it's just like, oh, there's someone on the streets in New York City. I got to get a picture with them. And you like people are taking pictures and like I forget who it was I saw, but like people started taking pictures and they're like, who is like, I don't know. I think it was this person. And it's
Social
like,
experiment.
They took a picture with them. They don't even know who they are. They was like, I don't know. I think it was them.
Silas, I'm going to give you some advice.
Yeah.
Okay. If you ever become like A-list celebrity, this is the advice.
What would I like?
You
be?
like produce a movie
Who
or
knows?
something.
Okay.
No, he would not be an A-list celebrity if he produced a movie. Name
If I
producers.
produced the movie,
Michael
no.
Bay.
Okay, he produced a movie, or he's produced some of the biggest movies in the last like 20 years.
You said name a producer. I did.
Yeah, there's like a couple. Spielberg.
Spielberg.
I bet you wouldn't even be able to recognize Michael Bay if he walked right past you.
No shot.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Silas, if you get,
I was just thinking of Silas's path to get to that.
who knows? No one knows.
Like-
you
like-
You're
if
on
you-
The Bachelor.
You're the Bachelor.
All right.
How the heck is no? You're not the Bachelor. You're on the Bachelor. You almost won. You're the hot heartthrob. Everyone wants you to win. She breaks your heart. They invite you back to be the Bachelor,
Now
and
you're the
now you're
Bachelor of
massive.
Paradise.
Yeah,
Okay.
now you're massive. Okay.
All right.
So I would say they're not in A-list celebrities. But anyways,
You're massive.
this is what I'll say.
You broke the mold.
This is what I'll say.
All right.
The best thing to do, because I saw this firsthand from Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Okay, we were at a Dodgers game, and we basically followed them out.
You were with them.
We were in the same suite. We were definitely not with them.
Okay.
We got invited to do this thing, and we didn't realize that there was going to be massive, like Lana Del Rey was like sitting right in front of Kelsey, and she was like literally trying not to puke because she was so nervous. Like you would just like bump, like you would just walk back, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, that's okay. That's famous basketball player. Like there was just so many people. That was just a random situation that we didn't really know what we were doing in there. But anyways, we were watching the game, and the game ends. And we were just fascinated with like what was going to happen, right? Because you're literally in LA. They just had beat Houston at home during the World Series, and I was like, how are these people? Like, what's going to happen? How are they going to get out of here? Because there's just like mobs of people. They wore normal clothes. Like literally, Ashton Kutcher was in a Dodgers like jersey, and Mila was just in like normal going out attire. They both just had baseball caps on, curved them down like this.
Yeah.
And then just walked real close to each other and just walked with the crowd. No security,
Heck yeah.
nothing. And you would occasionally get someone be like, as they like walked by, you occasionally get someone be like look at them and be
Yeah.
like, what? But they just kind of kept their head down and just like walked with the crowd and didn't do anything. And they just walked right out, got into their car.
But I think
and
there's a
then just
lot of
drove
celebrities,
off.
they don't want that to happen.
What?
Like, there's a lot of celebrities, they don't want that to happen. They want the...
Yeah.
Oh,
they
yeah,
want to
yeah.
be just like...
No, I'm
they
sure.
have the security.
I'm sure. But
Like,
like,
when FaZe, whatever his name was, walking GameStop, I was like, yo!
what's up,
How's
FaZe?
it going, man? FaZe in the house. That's
No,
the
but
most cringy video.
I thought that was so
we
cool.
told you about we wanted that to be a punishment.
No, I came up with
You
that
came up with the
punishment.
punishment. That'd be
You have to
so
walk.
funny.
You have to go
Walk
to
up
like
to
a
a
league.
weekly.
Hey, I'm Hunter from Foundation.
Yeah,
Like,
you had to
who
walk
wants
into
a
weekly, like,
photo?
yo.
You gotta grab
Trevor
someone's.
here, who
You
wants
gotta
a
grab
picture?
someone's putter and just sign it. There you go, bro. That one's free on the house, brother. Oh, that needs to be a
That'd be
punishment.
so
That needs to be a
brutal.
punishment.
Because like no one, like if you walked up to a random weekly, no one would think you're joking. They would just be like, "That guy's a douchebag."
Yeah, that's why it'd be great. I mean,
So good. I
we
couldn't
might have to
lose.
do something because if Trevor loses, he might have to do that at the Halloween Classic. That would be brutal.
That'd be incredible.
Just
We'll
shows
figure
up.
something out.
All right.
Trevor won't agree to it, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
That's the show.
That's debate night.
Not too bad.
No debates.
Hey, I'm not
It is
leaving.
night.
I'm not leaving.
He's not leaving.
I'm not leaving.
Not leaving, baby.